Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'll give you a minute to get settled and oriented. Make sure you can hear us okay. Welcome to talking all about standards. I am such a nerd when it comes to standards. I truly do love them. I know not many people do, but I could totally talk about them all day. So I will try not to talk all night for you or all day, depending on when you're watching this. But as you are getting settled, this is being recorded. So if you need to leave or if you're watching the replay, you found the replay. So, which is super exciting. Standards, of course, is what we're talking about tonight. This is more for a how-to tag your standards on Boom Learning and why it is important to do so. We want to make sure that we are doing these things so that schools can truly get access to curriculum needs and meet those needs in a quick and easy way. So I'm joined here tonight with John. John, if you want to say hello.
Hi everyone. Good evening. Unless you're on the West Coast, then it's still afternoon for you guys, I guess. Um, Again, I'm John Standel. I am one of the executives in the company. I have a master's in speech therapy and a master's in special ed. And I know Heather said she loves standards. Standards to me are a necessary evil. I think, we need to get them into the content. But it's something that the districts really like to it's a check off, like, are we presenting standards-based instruction to our students? Um, and as Heather goes through it, I'll let you know what we're doing as far as the crosswalks from Common Core to other states and kind of explain that. So I'll be popping on later on again.
Totally. All right. Well, as you are getting settled, make sure you're using the chat feature as well. I'm not seeing there's a Q&A, even though I did put it on. But I am seeing the chat, so we will be keeping an eye on that. We will do a Q&A at the end for any questions that we may have missed. All right, so first and foremost, why do we tag standards? Why do we need them? As we kind of said, states and districts are looking for it. They're requiring it for their curriculum materials that they are purchasing for teachers, for classrooms, for therapists. They are requiring that is aligned to standards, and it's not just made from Joe Schmo on the street. This are qualified people who are creating the curriculum, creating the content, and aligning it to those standards that we are putting into our system and that we all know and love and or hate. So we want to make sure that we are giving our students high quality, rigorous instruction for life and for their academic success. Ultimately, that is where it comes back to, is that they have decided that these standards are what is needed for each grade level. And we want to make sure that we are aligning it as best as we can and getting as closely tied to those standards as possible so that we can give high quality instruction, high quality materials to our educators, to our therapists, to everybody who is out there using Boom cards. All right, so for publishers, why does this help you? It really helps with searchability and discoverability. There is now filters where they can search specific standards. So if a teacher is going in and knows exactly which standard they are looking for, they can go ahead and select those, and all those decks will pop up immediately for them, which makes searching a lot faster. Again, gives you a little bit more of a boost because now people can find you quickly. And of course, getting teacher trust over time. We want that. We want them to come back, be repeat buyers, and truly love the quality of your decks. Finding those subject needs, finding those grade level needs, of course, comes with that because your standards should be aligned to those grade levels. And then those of you who are in Boom Passport or are looking to possibly join Boom Passport, it does increase that value for schools that are using your decks. Again, schools are looking for that. Admin are looking for decks that are aligned to standards to give to their educators or say, hey, have you tried this deck? I think it would be great for your school or for your class. So yeah, we kind of talked about this already. You can kind of see a small picture to the side here of what we just recently added to our library, where educators can select that grade level that is most appropriate for what they're looking for, and then toggle down to the standards and see exactly what they need, so that they can teach that lesson today, tomorrow, this week. And again, we see teachers now and again that are looking for materials the morning of. They want it quick, they want it easy, they want it right in their face. So standard alignment is really a great way to make sure that they can get what they need super fast. We do want to keep in mind as well, that if we are tagging incorrectly, it can cause your deck to appear in the wrong searches, which ultimately then keeps people away from your store. They don't trust you because you might not be aligning correctly. It might be a 10th grade standard on a first grade deck. That doesn't really add up or make sense, or vice versa. It's a 10th grade student or a 10th grade material, and you're looking to align to a first grade standard. It doesn't make sense. So we want to make sure that we are tagging for those things, and I will show you briefly how to do that as well. Some frequently asked questions that I've been getting recently about standards, is when should we tag? When is it most appropriate to tag? When it is an academic skill. Now, I know there's a lot of related services that we have on Boom as well, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But if you're looking for Common Core or TEKS that are currently on the Boom platform, they are aligned to academic skills. So reading comprehension, fluency, math, writing, all of those are in there right now. And so we want to make sure that we are tagging decks that relate to that, if you are tagging your decks. So when should you not tag? So this was a little bit trickier. So when it is more skill based, so I see a lot of memory games or following directions. Those are more fun, kind of more playful. There's less alignment to standards unless they're matching maybe letters, where there's more of a content in it. But if it's a skill where I'm looking to follow directions, there might not be a standard that aligns perfectly to that, and that's totally okay. We understand there might be some moments for that. Also, if your deck is really broad, if it's over multiple grade levels, I was thinking today about something that might align to this, and I was thinking if it was something about computer safety or internet safety. If you're doing it over maybe multiple grade levels, it doesn't necessarily fit just one skill or one idea, and it's kind of broad and it can help a lot of different grade levels. That would be a great way to kind of pass on tagging a standard for that. And again, tagging incorrectly just continues to hurt that trust from your buyer. So make sure that you are doing that correctly. So again, back to related services, our OTs, our PTs, speech, social work, even ABA a little bit. Standards are not required, but when I've been working with a lot of my SLPs or social workers, they've been tagging these college and career readiness anchor standards, which I think are great because they're super broad enough that they're more for language, speaking and listening. There's even writing in there for my OTs if you're looking for something to align there. So those standards I wanted to point out, those are right at the top for Common Core ELA, and those can be really great places to get started if you are tagging your decks as an related service. And then I just wanted to share this. I will also share this out. I believe it's already on the Boom store on the Boom site, as a download, so that if you wanted to come back and look at this. But we have our frameworks that kind of have a lot of these numbers and letters at the end. So if you're not familiar with it, this is what it is, where it has the framework as the starting, then it goes into the kind of that subject, and then TEKS does their own little thing about like when they're talking about it in the chapter, the subchapter, the grade level it was discussed, or the section that discusses that grade level, and then that knowledge and skills is kind of that breakdown of it. And so you'll kind of see that similar framework with Common Core, where you have that framework, then that subject, then the grade, that strand or the domain. I'm kind of hearing both of those interchangeably depending on which state you are in, then that subdomain and that cluster. So that kind of breaks it down. If you're looking at those standards, that's how you read them. And again, that handout is on our Boom store if you would like to, just a good printable version of this. All right, so how do we actually do this? So as you are starting out with your academic standards, your academic content, you want to pick the standards that you're most familiar with, whether it's Common Core or it's TEKS, because that's currently where we're at. That is what we have. So pick which one you are most familiar with. And then you can literally search in that topic or search for a standard if you know it specifically. I know a lot of educators work very closely with their standards. So if you made a deck for a standard, you can type that directly in as well. And you can tag up to 5 standards per deck, which could help if you are looking at a kindergarten and first grade kind of content. You can align to kindergarten and first grade standards, and that's okay. Um, so I did touch on this briefly as we go into that keep in mind section. Your deck should be tagged for the grade level that you've assigned to that deck. So it is required for you to have grade levels tied to the decks that you publish. And so look back at those if you're not sure which standards you should be tagging or grade level standards you should be tagging. I'm seeing some people tagging 10th grade standards with a second grade deck, things like that, where they're just trying to find something that matches, but maybe not quite sure. I'm available if you ever want me to look at your deck and try to picture what could go with that deck, what standard would best align. I know I've gotten a couple emails of people asking, and that's totally fine. That's what I'm here for. Again, SLPs, you are not required to do that, but if you feel like you want to, those anchor standards are fantastic places to go. So before we get any further, I do want to show what it looks like on the platform if you wanted to tag. John, as I do that, you got something to say?
Me, the quiet one? No, never.
Oh, you
I
sit so
will.
quiet.
So, there's been a couple of questions. One,
Sure.
the TEAC standards are the Texas-based standards right now. We are in the process of getting crosswalks for all the states that have either abandoned and or heavily modified away from Common Core. So obviously TEACS is one, the best standards in Florida is one, the SALs, if you're from Virginia, is another one. We'll do it for Indiana, for Minnesota. Anyone that has, they've either moved more than the 15% away from Common Core, or it's a big enough state where we want to make sure we have their standards. What will happen is if Heather's in Illinois and she's doing the Common Core tagging, you only have to tag once. If I'm in Texas and I want to find Heather's content, but I want to use my Texas standards, when I turn on the TEACs, when I look for a TEAC, it's going to crosswalk from the TEACs to Common Core, or from the best standards in Florida to Common Core. There'll be a walkthrough, so you don't have to tag in every state, because the pendulum is swinging um, pretty quickly right now, where it's looking like by 2028, roughly 26 states will have independent standards away from the Common Core. So you only have to do your standards once. Our back end algorithm will then, if I'm a teacher in Texas, when I fire up Boom, I'll just see the TEACs. I won't see the Common Core standards that you may have tagged it as Common Core.
Okay. Thank you, John. And thank you for that question as well. I forget some people don't know where teaks are coming from. I also see a couple other questions from Ellie. Is putting the standards in your description overdoing it? So I actually have added some standards in this deck description. I did this as well with my own decks prior to joining Boom and prior to them having the standards tagging tool. I'm going to leave them. I haven't seen them hurting anything. John, do you have any other information on that at all?
I would, so if they're already there, leave them. Going forward, though, the search tool is good. If they're in your title, if they're in your description, or if the standards are tied to it, the search tool and the standard is going to find it anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So To me, it's kind of overkill to put it in the description. I guess I wouldn't, but if they're already there, leave them. You're not going to hurt anything.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And same thing with your title. I don't think it's necessary to throw it in the title as well. I've seen some people putting it on their covers if there's a specific standard that they've made that deck for. But again, that's not searchable. Okay. All right, so when we are in here, if I wanted to go to my details and then go to standards, again, I am most familiar with Common Core, so I'm going to start there. And I can even just type in measurement and see what pops up. If I'm confused, because it's pulling even like eighth grade standards for measurement, with which this one is measuring length. It's not for an eighth grade classroom. But I could go back and say, oh, which grade level do I feel like this is for? Or what do I teach? It's probably a K1, 2. So again, I'm going to go back there and I'm going to look for K1, 2 standards. And there might be, there might not be. And that can really help me to decide maybe this isn't a second grade standard or a second grade deck. So let me start with 2. I actually might even start with 3. Yeah, so it does have third grade standards as well. So you see third grade is here. And then when I go down here, it's data by measuring lengths with rulers, marked with halves and fourths of an inch. So if you are actually doing that skill with halves and fourths of an inch, then yes, you can tag this one. This one isn't. This one is to the whole number, so I'm going to leave this one out. And I don't really think it's a third grade deck. But let me go back to second grade. Let me see what second grade has. Measurement of lengths by several objects to the nearest whole unit. Yep, that one sounds right. Repeated measurements of the same object, which I have multiple opportunities for them to practice. Um, and then this one, measuring the difference of 2 measurements. So I don't have any measuring of the difference, but that could give me an idea for maybe another deck that I would want to do. Or if I wanted to add more to this deck, I could and do a little comparison of how much they relate to each other. And then back to first grade, John, go ahead.
No, Shannon just has a question. When standards are added, how long does it take to work within the search? I'm thinking minutes because the systems, our servers are refreshing constantly. So if you tag tonight, um, probably by the time that you refresh your screen, those tags will be live on your decks.
Yep. I also noticed I know some people are having glitches with their covers updating. Sometimes that does take 24 hours, or if you clear your cache, that does work as well. So if you're seeing the standards not showing up immediately, that might be a step that you need to take is clear your cache, or again, wait that 24 hours.
And then Shannon asked, when searching for decks with a particular standard, it's only sorted by newest first, oldest, etc. Is there a way that could be sorted by top sellers? That way, when people search, they're finding the most popular first. Heather, I don't know if we have any search preferences for standards.
I am not aware of that yet, but I can definitely make a note to see if that can be something that can be changed and updated.
Let's, that's a great idea. We'll take a look at that to see if there's something
Yeah.
we can do. I will tell you all right now, the school districts that we've been working with that have adopted us, Gwinnett, Miami, Sci-Fair in Texas, the standards are a huge piece for them. So the more decks that have the standards aligned, the more decks they're going to push towards the teachers to use. So if you haven't aligned, if you're part of Passport and you haven't aligned, the faster you can align, the higher your decks will be in usage in those big districts.
Yep. So I just found a couple Common Core and I'm going to do the same with Teaks. If you're more familiar with Teaks, you do not need to do both. You can pick one. And then again, we're hoping that analytic tool in the background could help
That
us as well.
crosswalk will work. So only pick one. Don't confuse your decks and put Common Core and Teaks in. You
Mhm.
don't need to do that. If the way I'm kind of describing it, if you live in a state that is Common Core, use the Common Core standards. As we roll out more crosswalks, so as we do Florida and Georgia and Louisiana and Minnesota, you can if you're living in Minnesota, do Common Core now. And if you want to pick up those standards when we roll those out in 26, everything will transfer over. So you're not redoing your work. The crosswalk will just pick it up in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you can tag up to 5 here, which is very nice. And then if you wanted to look back in it and reread it, you just click on it, and it goes into more detail for what that deck or what that standard is. And if you're like, nope, I don't want that one anymore, you can just unclick it, which is great as well.
And right now, we just have it at the deck level. As we get more refined, we will be allowing people to tag at the individual card level. So if you're working on a card that has a really great standard, like, oh, this would be perfect, you'll be able to go in and tag that specific part of your decks with different standards as well down the road.
Awesome. All right. I think we are on to questions, which we've kind of been answering along the way. Um, is there anything else that you all have for us? Any other questions? Anything else we can clarify? But that is it. We are looking for an increase in those tagging of those standards. So again, just help with that searchability, and help our schools get access to higher quality decks. I'm also looking for more people to join our passport program. So if you're not a part of that, to become a premier publisher, I'll be looking for more stores that are tagging standards and reaching out to them.
Heather, is there from the deck view, Shannon asked if it shows that that deck is tied to standards. Is there anything, isn't there a little button on the deck that will show that? Can you?
There isn't yet, but that is something that we are working on, and I've been looking at a couple designs from our dev team, of making it
I
more
thought so.
noticeable, aligned kind of like it is with our accessibility, where those 3 buttons, there'd be another kind of button of saying, did you tag for standards? Did you not tag for standards? Same thing with the filter searches that we just added to the library. We're hoping to add that to our studio side as well, so that you can see which ones are tag standards, not tag standards, and that kind of thing. So yes, we are getting there. It's definitely on my list, and I have seen them.
So that is, you guys, I don't know where it is in the queue. I'm not even going to lie to you and say it's going to be in a week. It could be in a week. It could be in a couple of months.
Correct.
We will get some sort of key slash graphic at the deck level to show that that deck is aligned and tagged to standards. I think Shannon's asking specifically for herself of, I have so many decks, I don't know if I've tagged them or not. So just from their view, it'd be great to have that as well.
Yes, I completely agree. Any other questions as we wrap up here? Thank you all for coming. We truly do appreciate it, and taking the time
And
to.
we do have another town hall in, when is the next one, Heather?
The premier publisher,
Yeah.
for active premier publishers, we will have a town hall on October 7th. So in 2 weeks from now, to kind of update on the last year of Passport and where we're at with that.
And again, I'll make a plea for everyone. If you know anyone who wants to become a publisher, we're looking for more and more publishers that are talented, as well as been a huge ask from our passport districts looking for more middle school, high school content. Um, that is definitely a hole we have for offerings. The large majority of our content is elementary, and I love to see more secondary content being cranked out for those students.
All right. Well, thank you very much for taking the time this evening. We truly do appreciate it. And we will see you on the next webinar.
And reach out with questions, you guys. If you need us, we're here for you.
Yes, of course.
Thanks, everyone.